welcome back to At Home with Peggy. Blooming Acres is in the very beginning stages of a major overhaul here, and it's a little scary, but very exciting. Now, the first phase is that we have to move our daughter Kira out of her room into what used to be our room. Tommy and I are spending a lot of time in the basement these days. So this room needs to be made perfect for a 10-year-old little girl. Now, we've painted the walls a deep rose and new carpeting is on its way. So we have to get the moldings done and ready for the carpeting to be installed. Now, moldings are very interesting and kind of a little bit of work, but they do set the tone for the room. And I'm all in favor of nice, big, tall floor moldings and interesting moldings as opposed to the boring ones that came with the house. So you can see here that we have 6-inch moldings. Now, I don't know about you, but miter cuts intimidate me, and I know they're relatively easy if you do them on a regular basis, but getting them just perfect is a little bit beyond me. And my husband does most of this work, and he's good at it, but it's hard to get perfection. So we came up with something really wonderful. It is available at most lumber yards, or the pieces can be ordered, and this is a little corner piece that you can use as an alternative to a miter cut. It fits right in there in the corner. Now I can show you. This is what it looks like. You can see this piece. It has a little bit of an interesting trim. There's several different kinds. This isn't exactly the same as the ones that we used, but you can use whatever one's available so that the molding actually abuts square right up to this side and right up to this side, completely eliminating the need for a miter cut on the floor. Now, if you have an outside corner, you can use this piece, which fits right along the edge, and then the wood abuts up against these side pieces, completely, again, eliminating the need for miter cuts. So if you're more comfortable making a straight cut than a miter cut, these are the way to go. Now, they're probably the most expensive piece of wood you're going to buy, pound for pound, but they run about $2 a piece. So you can do this for not an enormous expenditure, and then you don't have to worry about ruining good expensive pieces of molding because you made a mistake on the corner. Now here's another corner piece, an inside corner piece that's for very tall moldings. I actually like the decorative part on the top here a little bit better. Now, we are all in favor of eliminating miter cuts, so there's a couple of other things you can do. These are called plinth blocks, which you put at the base of a door for around a closet or an entranceway. And again, this piece of molding abuts right up against it, and then you put the molding to go around like that, and again, once you have completely eliminated the need for miter cuts. Now, this door molding will go up to the top, and we have a way of eliminating that miter cut as well. These are called rosettes, and you can fit these in the corner like that, and the molding that goes across the top as well as up and down, once again, abuts straight to the rosette. Now, this one has a daisy. There are ones called targets. There's several different kinds. You can choose the one to your liking. This is Blooming Acres. We picked the daisy. Now, the next step is that we are going to try to yank out the windowsills because these moldings are wider than the clam moldings that were originally installed. And this would hang over just a hair, and I wasn't happy with that. Plus, I like deeper windowsills so I can put plants on them. So we are going to attempt to rip out an existing windowsill. Wish me luck on it. Now, this windowsill is just not big enough to put a decent-sized plant on. At Blooming Acres, that's a problem. Now, this is an Anderson window, and this is not necessarily the easiest piece of wood to remove, but I did talk to a carpenter, and he told me how to do it. Now, if you look very, very closely, you can see there's little round bumps, and some of these are, there's one right here, and these are supposedly nails that are hammered through that are what secure it in. Now, the carpenter said what I need to do is split off this piece of sill and access those nails, and when I can get to where the nails are, I can pull them out and the piece should slip away. I've never done this, but I was told it's not that difficult. So since the piece of wood's going to be destroyed anyway, I figure what can I lose rather than paying someone else to do it. So wish me luck, and we're going to try to get this off. fun. And I think there she blows. Okay. Hey, I did it. That was pretty cool. Okay, now you can see right here is one of the primary nails that the carpenter said I would find. Now I have to get a little bit more of this off, but I think we are well on our way. When you come back for the next show, this will be done. I really should have been born in February. That's because the amethyst is the birthstone for people born in February. I have to make do by saying it's really for my husband because that's when his birthday is, because purple is without question my favorite color. So I love to wear different kinds of purple jewelry. Now, amethysts are stunning, and I wouldn't want to be without them, but let's not limit ourselves. There's lots of other options out there. Now, I'm going to start with this piece over here. For one thing, it's one of the most unusual pieces that I own. It's very beautiful. There's both purple and light blue and sort of a very pale purple, almost lilac-y, almost pink stones. But these are actually woven or crocheted together in some way. And I'm going to turn it over. You can see the back, that it's very, very unusual. This was handmade in Israel, and I purchased it in Puerto Rico when on vacation. But I just thought it was so fascinating. And one of the most wonderful aspects of this piece is that it weighs almost nothing. You know, when you want to wear big, beautiful earrings that are real showy, if you have your hair up, you get an earache because they're so heavy. These, because there's almost no metal and it's all woven with thread, weigh practically nothing. Now, this approach to getting purple jewelry, both of these different pieces, these little pansy-type earrings and this beautiful orchid, those are done by an enameling process. And there's a gold on the back, but they are enameled, and they have that really rich, beautiful purple color. Now, these little earrings are great because they're simple. There's no metal on them. You can wear them with gold or silver. You can wear them very casual. These are actually made from mother of pearl. So again, a completely different way of accessing purple jewelry. Now we have here the classics, and I would not want to be without your classic cut amethyst jewelry. This is a very simple but elegant bracelet, and this, of course, the diamonds were my mother's, and my husband had them set around this amethyst so that I get the best of both worlds, the purple from my husband and the diamonds from my mother when she passed away. Now this little ring is set in sterling silver, and it is an unusual stone. It's a very, very dark, opaque looking stone, but there's a slight variation in the shades of purple if you look really close. It's called sugilite, an unusual stone, and not considered precious, again, a semi-precious stone, so not necessarily very expensive. That is one of the nice things about being passionate about purple. Amethyst is semi-precious, not precious, and therefore much more affordable. Now this is fun. This is a barrette for my hair, which I have an abundance of, and I need large barrettes. This is made out of fused glass, and because of the way the glass is heated together, it reflects the light differently, and so looks like it's different shades of purple depending on how the light hit it. That's a lot of fun. It looks real pretty on my hair. These are all amethysts. These are all these are set in silver. However, these are different. They are not cut. They have no facets. They're called cabochon. This is an antique piece. You can see this is very old, and actually Tommy bought this for me for our first Christmas together many years ago, and it's a very beautiful piece. The amethysts are quite large. Again, they have different shades of purple in them, but they are cut smoothly, again called cabochon. Now this is just a funny piece of jewelry, again an antique, very old, just paste, glass, plastic. I'm not sure exactly what it's made out of. Probably when this was made they didn't have plastic, so I guess it's not that, but just a fun piece, not very expensive, a present from a friend many years ago, but one that I just happen to love. And again, similar, not very expensive material, but a handmade pin that I also really enjoy. If you have a passion for purple or any other stone, you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money to indulge, which is one of the fun things. And this was a Valentine's present from my husband, and if you can look very closely, you can see that there are purple pressed flowers inside the dome of glass. So again, handmade, very lovely, very delicate, and perfect for me. And my most recent acquisition, a present from a friend who found the stone, had a friend set it in gold and said it had to be delicate and fun and very feminine for a very large stone that wasn't easy to do. The chain was a gift from my mother on my 17th birthday. So I put it together. It's beautiful, it's purple, it's from my wonderful friend Alicia, and reminds me of my mother. Doesn't get much better than that. So I indulge. I wear this purple jewelry almost all the time. But find your own special niche in the jewelry world and then indulge. Treat yourself. Doesn't have to be a lot of money, just a lot of fun. Well, over the years you've met lots of Blooming Acres creatures, but Bill never really gets to be in the limelight. He's not Son of Lassie. He's not tiny and cute. He's big and scary. But in truth, he's just a love pup. And I thought maybe it would be time for you to meet him. He was actually rescued many years ago now from the Trenton Pound. And I don't think he had a very good life in his early few months. We got him when he was about 9 months old. And I really did want a watchdog, but I wanted a dog that could be safe around the kids. Bill is a wonderful dog. He has a big, deep bark, and his real name is Sweet William. Everyone has to have a flower name at Blooming Acres. But as you can see, he's very affectionate. He loves to snuggle at night. He's very warm. He does intimidate people, which is a good thing. But when you get real close, he'll probably just lick you to death. So this is Bill, also known as Sweet William, and my warm, huggable, big, scary watchdog. Say hi, Bill. Okay. It's a blustery early spring day, and I could certainly do with some warmer weather, but time waits for no one, and this little tree here needs help now. The winter snow and the winter wind really took its toll on a lot of shrubbery. A lot of things are leaning and splayed out from the weight of the ice and the snow. This tree's been leaning for a couple of years but got significantly worse this year. It's very obvious that it's leaning, and with its weeping growth habit it looks a little bit ridiculous. Now you can see it has shrubbery around it, and we have to be careful because there's all kinds of things popping up. We've got daylilies and poppies and some magic lilies over here and some daffodils up here, so we have to be a little bit careful. If we damage the roots on the junipers, so be it. Those are easily enough replaced, but I really want to take care of this pussy willow. Now the plan is to dig on this side and lift. Then we'll stake it once we get it upright, and these are pieces of hose that will run the string through so that when it's wrapped around the tree, it won't cut into the tree and then cut into the bark. These old pieces of hosing are very handy for that. Now this is not a one-person job because you're going to have to lift, fill, and hold the tree up all at the same time. So I've gotten my husband, Tommy, to help me, and together we should get this done. So wish us luck on this project too. The tree really needs help. Tommy, can you dig here?
Yeah.
Careful where you step. All right, the tree is relatively straight. It's standing on its own. These nice heavy-duty stakes are in the ground, and we're going to take this hose with the heavy-duty twine through it, and we're going to wrap it around the trunk of the tree here. While it's straight now and being staked, you want to keep in mind that the roots are not as well established as they were, not holding it as securely, so it's that much more likely to be blown over by the wind, which is why we're putting in the 2 stakes. I'm going to wrap this around one more time. The hose should definitely keep it from being damaged by
the string, which is also important. You use any kind of a wire or a thin string without some element of protection, and you're just asking for the tree to be completely cut and girdled. Remember, the weight of the tree is on the other side of that tree, right where the hose is, and if it was wire, it would just cut right through. We'll put the other hose on, we'll tie it off, and with a little luck, this tree is going to grow straight up.
There ain't no bugs on me, there ain't no bugs on me. There might be bugs on some of you mugs, but there ain't no bugs on me.
We have a wonderful treat in store for you now. We are at the Philip Alampi Beneficial Insect Laboratory, and there are bugs in lots of places, and they are really wonderful and good bugs. We really have to cheer on the good bugs. And I have with me Bob Canacey, who is your official title, Bob?
Chief of the Bureau of Biological Pest Control.
Chief of the Bureau of Biological Pest Control. So you give the bugs orders, is that right?
Well, we try to. And what we do here is really try to raise beneficial insects to help control some of the pest insects and plants that we have here in New Jersey.
So you have the good guys and you bring them in from all over the world to fight the bad guys?
Right, right. Most of the problems we have here in New Jersey, pest problems, insect pest problems we have here in New Jersey and plant pests are caused by plants and insects that are not native to this state or this country. And they don't have any natural enemies here, and that's why they become serious problems. Some of the programs we now have include a parasite that attacks tarnished plant bug, which is a serious pest of over 125 different plant species in the state. Another one is a little predator beetle which feeds on scale insects, and scale insects are insects that actually suck the sap from plants.
So how does this help a farmer?
Well, in many cases, a farmer, when he has a pest problem, and if we have a beneficial insect that'll work against it, we can then hopefully reduce the amount of chemicals he would need to spray to control that pest in his crop. And that's really, you know, our mission is to try and reduce the amount of chemicals used, pesticides used against, to control these pest insects.
Well, Bob, even I recognize that as the woolly adelgid critter, and I've seen it all too many times when I visit people's homes and nurseries, and they say, what's wrong with my hemlock? So tell me, what's going on in this laboratory? They're all in little test tubes.
Yeah, well, what we have here is we take the infested branches from the field, and we place them in these little vials with moisture to keep them moist, and bring them into the laboratory, and then we introduce the adult predator beetles onto these to try and get the beetles to reproduce so that we can build up the colony and produce enough of the beetles to release in the field.
Now, you don't really see the insects here. All you see is what looks like little tiny tufts of cotton. Could you explain that, please?
Right. Under each of these little tufts of cotton is a female hemlock woolly adelgid, and what she's doing now is laying eggs on this little twig, and those eggs will hatch, and then her young will be feeding on the branch. And how they feed is they actually suck the sap from the tree. And the woolly mass is there to protect herself and the eggs from other predators and parasites.
And if you wanted to spray it with a pesticide, it wouldn't penetrate the little fuzzy part, right?
It also protects it against the chemicals.
So there's really no way to control this problem at this point in time except what you guys are doing here.
Well, in natural stands where you have large stands of hemlock, very dense stands, you can't penetrate the foliage or the canopy, and you can't get in there with ground equipment to help control this pest. Now, this pest is vulnerable at a certain stage. Before the nymphs begin to form the woolly waste, to develop into adults and form the woolly masses, they're vulnerable to spraying, to the chemical. And just about any type of chemical that's labeled will work very well against this pest if the branches are saturated. And you can use the organic chemicals, you can use the safer soaps, or the oils will work very well as pesticides. Once they start forming the masses, when it's a problem. So a homeowner can protect his trees at certain times of the year, usually when they're in the nymphal stage, before they form these woolly masses, which would be in late summer and early fall.
So that's a very narrow window though,
Right.
and the trees are very large, and most homeowners just don't have the
Right.
equipment to do the job thoroughly,
Right.
nor do they have necessarily the knowledge to predict that exact right timing. So what you're doing, the bugs can fly all the way to the tops of the trees with no help from us at all. So what's this gentleman doing over here?
Well, what Dave is doing is removing the twigs that have the eggs on them from the jars and removing the adults from those jars as well. Taking the eggs, he'll place them in another container and then replace a new infested twig with the cheesecloth. And the cheesecloth is used because the beetles will lay their eggs on the cheesecloth as well as on the branches, and they're much easier to see when
There
they're on
they
the
go.
cheesecloth.
He's letting them go
Right.
in there.
And he's now putting the adults in.
So they will reproduce in there?
Yes.
And you will get
Another-
enough of a population of these predator insects to eventually release to
Yeah,
the
what we
wild?
do is we start mass producing actually in the fall, late fall of the year and all winter. In the wild, this is one species. This pest insect is actually active throughout the winter. It'll start developing and laying eggs throughout the winter. So we start our work in the fall when the pest insect becomes active. And then we'll rear throughout the winter, store the adults as we produce them, and then in the spring, we can release those numbers, and we're able to build a population that way much quicker.
Let's go see another critter.
Okay.
Now, Bob, I haven't had to deal with Mexican bean beetle in my garden for years, and I think I have you to thank for that. But look at these poor bean plants. They look awful. What's going on here?
Peggy, what you see here is a program we have where we're raising a little parasite that actually comes from India that attacks Mexican bean beetle and kills Mexican bean beetle. These are Mexican bean beetle larvae that have been parasitized by the little Indian wasp. It's a little wasp, but it's harmless, it can't sting, and now has succumbed to the larvae that are feeding inside the body of this particular host.
So there's something inside that host,
Right.
that pest, that's causing it to dry up and turn brown?
Right. Actually, and that's why one reason why this program is so successful, that's the parasite.
Those little tiny, what kind of insect are they?
It's a little wasp, actually. But again, you can see by the size that it would be harmless, and it can't sting. It doesn't hurt humans. If you're allergic to bee stings, you don't have to worry. We don't work with any species that could be harmful to humans. But what this does, these are adult wasps. That's the full-grown adults. We release those in the field, and they'll find the Mexican bean beetle larvae, and they'll lay their eggs inside the bean beetle larvae. Now, what makes it so successful is because they'll lay about 20 to 25 eggs per larvae. So for every host, we get 25 parasites back.
Now, I know in my garden it's a great boon to not have to deal with this horrid critter, but how does it benefit big farmers, big-time farmers?
Well, what we work with the soybean growers. Soybeans,
Oh, so it's not just green beans.
Oh,
We're
no.
talking about the whole
No.
soybean industry.
definitely.
Oh, well, that's a bug of a different color.
Well, what happens is that soybeans are the early crop. Mexican bean beetle, which is the pest, overwinters as an adult. In the spring, it emerges from the hedgerows and where it's overwintering and looks for something to feed on. Soybeans are the first crop it finds, and that's why we work with the soybean growers. Plus, it's the largest crop in the state, about 100,000 acres. What we'll do is we'll plant beans next to the grower's soybean field. Our beans, when we plant them before the grower plants his beans, so our beans come up first, and the host, the Mexican bean beetle adults, are attracted to our little 1/8 acre plot. So we concentrate all the pests in that particular area in one little 1/8 acre. Once they start laying their eggs on the beans that we've planted, then we release the parasites, and that's when it becomes a nurse crop. Before that, it was a trap crop, then it becomes a nurse crop because now the parasites will be reproducing in an 1/8 acre and then disperse throughout the field and throughout the region. We protect all the bean acreage in New Jersey. At the present time, no soybeans have to be sprayed for Mexican bean beetle, to control Mexican bean beetle.
So in order to do this, you have to understand the weather, the life cycle, the parasites, their needs, how they reproduce, as well as international aspects of entomology and agriculture, because you have to travel all around the world in order to do this, bring it here, raise them, reproduce them, release them, and follow up. That is huge, Bob.
Yes, there is a lot involved in what we do and what we need to know, but we have a lot of experience. We've been involved with biological control and mass rearing insects since the 1960s here in these laboratories. And because of that, because of our expertise, we do get a lot of, we are prioritized as far as getting these beneficial insects here in this laboratory to develop these techniques, and not only for New Jersey, but also for other states.
Now, so far we've looked at insects, controlling insects. There's one project you showed me where insects are controlling a plant pest. Can we see that now?
Sure.
Okay. Now, Bob, this is purple loosestrife, is that correct?
Yes.
I tried planting that at my farm. Not a good idea, huh?
No, it isn't. Purple loosestrife, at least the wild purple loosestrife, is a very invasive exotic plant, and it's actually displacing much of the native plants in the wetlands, freshwater wetlands.
I've driven along the water in Long Island and seen purple loosestrife in bloom as far as you can see in all directions. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
Yes, unfortunately, it is a very pretty plant when it's blooming and very attractive, but it is very, very aggressive. And because it's an exotic species, which means it's not native to this country, it doesn't have any natural enemies here, so it's really taking over the wetlands.
So that really seems to be, from everything that we've talked about, the basis of a lot of the problems, that things come in from other countries and have no natural enemies here,
Right.
and then just go berserk.
Right, yes.
But this one looks like it's not doing too well.
Well, fortunately, the researchers were able to isolate a beetle that feeds on this plant and in Europe. And through careful screening, we're able to determine that it's very specific. That beetle is very specific to this species of purple loosestrife. So with that in mind, we were able to get a colony and develop a mass rearing technique and release it in New Jersey against the plant in the wetlands. And it's doing a very good job. As you can see here, it feeds very well on the plant. And probably, usually within 5 or 6 years, we start to see a decline in purple loosestrife wherever we release the beetle.
And that means the natural plant material is able to reestablish
Right.
itself without too
Yes.
much problem.
Yes.
So where do you get the funding to run all of these similar and yet very diverse projects?
Well, fortunately, because of our expertise and because of our success, we get a lot of support, first off, from the Department of Agriculture. We do have a budget, and our budget's been fairly well over the years and hasn't been reduced at all over the last few years. Along with that, because of the fact that we do have our expertise in mass rearing, we get funding from other sources like the U.S. Forest Service, which is helping fund the Hemlock Woolly Adelgid project. We get funding from USDA APHIS, Animal Plant Health Inspection Service, to help fund this program. We also get funding from the New Jersey Suey Bean Board to help us support the program of controlling Mexican bean beetle and suey beans.
This is just such a vital part of New Jersey agriculture, New Jersey open space, and even your backyard. So thanks so much for joining us, and keep up the good work.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks for being here with At Home at Peggy, and we'll see you next time with more great stuff.